The U.S. is voicing concerns over civilian safety in Gaza, with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu doubling down yesterday on his vow to invade Rafah.
The majority of Israelis support the policies that we're leading. Go into Rafah, destroy the remaining Hamas terrorist battalions.
He promises to evacuate the more than 1 million civilians there, but U.S. officials are skeptical.
The evacuation, they call it humanitarian islands, and we welcome any credible plan to take care of them, but we haven't seen it yet.
Getting innocent people out could be even harder than getting aid in. That's so difficult, the U.S. and other countries are building a floating dock to access Rafah by water.
It's going to probably take about 6 to 8 weeks or so for all the pieces to get in place and for it to become operational.
President Joe Biden is reiterating his call for a ceasefire and a two-state solution.
This is the only path for lasting peace and security.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer calls Netanyahu an obstacle to such peace. He says Israel should hold a new election when the war winds down, drawing this response yesterday.
It's inappropriate for to go to a sister democracy and try to replace the elected leadership there.
The fact that Israel's most staunch defender in the U.S. Congress, Chuck Schumer, should be making these remarks should be an earthquake in Israel.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
President Biden speaking to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today for the first time in more than a month, and that call coming at a moment of high friction between the White House and the Israeli government, especially over the potential for an Israeli assault on the city of Rafah in southern Gaza. Prime Minister Netanyahu says that is the only way to destroy Hamas. The White House has been saying consistently for weeks now that any attack on Rafah would be a disaster without a credible plan to get the more than 1 million Palestinian civilians who are sheltering in the city out of harm's way. The call also coming a couple of hours after Israeli forces raided the Al-Shifa Hospital, the largest medical facility in the Gaza Strip. They say they were acting on precise intelligence and that they tracked down and killed a senior Hamas operative. Hamas acknowledging the death of this individual, but saying he was really a civil police officer, partly responsible for trying to secure aid shipments into Gaza City. Now, Israel says Hamas has been consistently using hospitals as bases, but Palestinian health officials say this is another example of Israel targeting a medical facility, a potential war crime. They say a number of casualties were sustained during that Israeli raid. The hospital functioning at a very minimal level at this point, but there are thousands of Palestinian civilians sheltering inside, hoping that being on the hospital grounds would offer them at least some modicum of safety. Raf Sanchez, NBC News, Tel Aviv.